Hey everybody, it looks like we might have a little bit more information leaked about when the Steam machine and Steam frame are coming. This comes to us from this tweet over from @hardware_steam. They said Canadian documentation has said that Steam machine user manual will be available on June 29th and Steam frame controllers user manual will be available on June 18th. All right, so why does this matter? Well, if we're getting the manuals, then it stands to reason that the actual hardware is coming either soon after or soon before. And if we combine that with the fact that Valve has recently told us in a recent blog post that the Steam machine and Steam frame were coming out in summer, well, I think that that means that we've got yet another dot that we can connect in order to find out when these things are happening. And you might say, well, okay, hold on a sec, Bill. If these manuals are coming out, why does that signal that the machine and the frame are right around the corner? And I'm going to say I don't think that this actually signals that. It's just one more step in the multitude of steps that Valve has to take in order to launch this hardware. But we do have some precedents that we can look at because the Steam controller did something similar. If we go back to the tweet, it says the same release for Steam controller was days after launch. If we scroll down, they posted some information about it. Steam controller's user manual said that it would be released on May 20th. The controller's release date was announced on the 27th, and then it was released on May 4th. So if you subtract that, that comes out to 16 days from the release of the hardware to the release of the user manual. So let's go back to the dates that we were just talking about for the other manuals. Starting with the Steam machine. The Steam machine comes out on the 29th. If you subtract 16 days from that, that brings you to the 13th. So the 13th is, actually, I don't know when the 13th is. That is a Saturday. So according to past precedent, that would mean that the Steam machine is going to be released on Saturday. Now, if that's the case, then I would expect that probably 2 days before that, we would start to see videos leaking or not leaking. We would see videos about that, like the review videos from the big channels like Dave2D, Gamers Nexus, or LTT. They all get first dibs on hands-on with hardware from Steam. It happened with the Steam Deck. It happened with the Steam controller. It's going to happen with the Steam machine and the Steam frame. So if we're going to be seeing those release dates, then I'm guessing, or that as a release date for Saturday, then I'm guessing that probably by Friday, we would see the first reviews of these units. And just so you guys are aware, I do not have access to a review unit. I do not know if I'm getting a review unit. I said this when I got the controller as a review unit. I didn't know I was getting it until the last possible minute. I have a very small channel. Not a whole lot of people watch. I'm super grateful that all of you guys do. And if you do and you haven't subscribed, please click on that subscribe button. But when you compare my channel to the other big channels, it makes perfect sense that they get access to this stuff first. Okay, they have a much larger audience. That's pretty much what I'm saying. All right, so then maybe on the 13th, we get access to the Steam machine. All that logic seems to flow just fine. However, there is one wrench that I'm going to throw into this, and that is the release date of the documentation for the Steam frame. If you look at that, that's supposed to come out on June 18th. Well, if we subtract 16 days from June 18th, that brings us to the past. So if that's the case, then the Steam frame would already be out and about. So I saw a bunch of people looking at this information and saying, okay, we now know the release dates of the hardware. I don't think it's that cut and dry. I just think that this is when the manuals are finished and Valve is ready to get those manuals out. And so they announced when those manuals would be available. I don't think that they have a set amount of time from when the manual is released and the hardware is released. It just really doesn't make sense to me for them to do that. Another reason that doesn't make sense to me is why have the hardware come out before the manual? Why not have them happen at the same time? And my guess is because when the controller came out, they were still writing the manual. Well, now they've finished the manual for the other two items, which makes sense because they expected to have them come out all at the same time. But now they've got the documentation done. And so I don't think that this tells us when these things are going to happen. But anyway, I thought it was really interesting. Now, before we move on, I want to say, if you have not yet checked out the Parody merch store, I've got some really cool t-shirt designs that I think you guys are going to like. I've got DRM, He Doesn't Like You, and Schrodinger's Console, which is directly related to the Steam machine. So if you want to check that out, there is a link in the description down below. Support the channel and get a cool shirt while you're at it. All right, let's move on and look at another piece of evidence that has to do with when the Steam frame is possibly launching. And it doesn't give us a hard and fast date, but I saw this over on Reddit yesterday. It says the Steam frame has been added to the Canada ISDL, which is essentially their equivalent of the FCC database. And as you can see here in the screenshot, it says, if I can, I can't scroll down. So if I scroll down here, okay. It says company number, and then it says company name is Valve. The certification is right here, and the approval date was June 5th, and that was when it was approved by the Canadian equivalent of the Federal Communications Division called the ISDL. They have now approved that hardware to be sold in Canada, which is one of the last steps before new hardware comes out. You got to make sure that the hardware is okay to go, especially if it has any wireless components in it, like Bluetooth and that kind of stuff. The companies have to make sure that they are following all of the rules in each country before they can actually start selling this stuff. So getting this thing, getting this listing in the ISDL is a big deal, and that means that we should be seeing the Steam frame fairly quickly. I looked and I could not find if there was any information about whether or not the Steam machine has already been added to the ISDL. But if you guys can find that, let me know in the comment section down below. All of that brings us to one more piece of evidence that the Steam machine and Steam frame are all right around the corner, and it's a really good time to be a gamer that likes to play games on Linux.